Hi everyone, welcome to our Austin Energy Green Building seminar, Navigating Ratings and Certifications. I'm Ekta Kohler, Project Manager with the Commercial Group here with Austin Energy Green Building. I'll be the moderator for this seminar. This is our bi-monthly seminar series highlighting topics important to sustainability in the built environment. Before we dive into the seminar, we have some announcements to share on local events, and we will put the direct links in the chat now. The list, starting with our e-learning platform. So our AEGB e-learning platform offers on-demand courses, so you can earn free continuing education credits at your convenience. We upload recorded webinars and other virtual resources like tours, workshops, and case studies. So do log in to register and see what's new. Moving on, lots happened in the past few months. The City of Austin adopted the 2024 Energy Code with local amendments on April 10th, 2025. It takes effect today, July 10th, 2025. The amendments align the Energy Code with other adopted City of Austin codes and climate goals while offering more compliance flexibility. New EV readiness requirements apply to all new residential and commercial construction. We've created guides to help define the levels required. Check out the building technical code updates and download the guides at the link provided. Moving on, we also have another announcement. The 2025 AEGB commercial rating is all live today. All projects registered on or after July 10th will be assigned to this new rating. The 2025 AEGB guidebook can be downloaded from the ORS Help tab. Austin Energy is testing a new incentive to help address the critical need for sustainable, affordable housing in our community. The passive building incentive will help 4 to 5 affordable townhome or multifamily developments obtain FEAR certification. Visit the Speak Up Austin page for details and application information. It's time again for the 2025 Austin Green Awards. They've announced their call for submissions. AGA honors Austin's exemplary green buildings, landscapes, and infrastructure. Nominations for projects in the 5-county Central Texas region are due September 30th. This annual event is scheduled to take place on November 12th, so please mark your calendars. Austin Energy is sponsoring the cost of training for a limited number of seats at a FIRE certified verified training in September. Go to their website and learn more about this certification and reach out to us to claim your spot. Meeting Austin's goal for net zero community-wide greenhouse gas emissions by 2040 requires reducing combustion, including from landscaping and lawn care equipment to nearly zero. Landscaping and lawn care professionals are a key part of this effort. The City of Austin wants their input. Help us spread the word about this survey. Share this link or the QR code, please. This seminar is being submitted for AI Learning Units, GBCI CE hours for lead professionals, and AICP for all those that attend the entire webinar. All certificates will be emailed. A follow-up email will be sent with links to the recorded webinar and other resources. It will take a little extra time for video editing this seminar. We will be adding this to our e-learning platform as well. Here is the AI quality assurance slide. Here are the learning objectives of our seminar today. Today, we'll be discussing how to navigate green building ratings and certifications. The goal is to learn about the process and specifics of the single-family, multifamily, and commercial Austin Energy green building ratings. We'll also be talking about how the ratings inform City of Austin zoning rules and energy codes. Explore how the rating system compares to and complements other certifications like LEED and WELL. Finally, we'll hear about a case study that highlights the environmental, health, and conservation benefits of using these best practices. If you have any questions during our speaker's presentation, be sure to use the Q&A window throughout the seminar. Um, we've scheduled time at the end of the seminar to discuss them, but for any of those that we don't get to, we'll get those answered after the presentation and send them out with a follow-up. Here's a link to our survey, which we'll share later as well. Moving on, let's get started with our first speaker. That's Conn Fraser. Um, Conn Fraser has been with Austin Energy for over 6 years, working primarily in the residential side of the program. In his role, he facilitates the rating process for project teams and helps them meet their sustainability goals. Prior to AEGB, he worked as an energy auditor for public buildings in South Carolina and an outreach coordinator for a local and water conservation district. His background is in environmental science and sustainable construction, and he's always on the lookout for new ways to encourage environmentally friendly practices. Over to you, Conn. Thanks.
All righty. Thank you so much, Ekta. As Ekta mentioned, we'll be going over the AEGB program, as well as the ways it intersects with the city's policies and codes and standards, and then doing a little bit of a survey of the different rating systems within AEGB. So it'll be me, Julie, and Mary here, and we'll get it kicked off. Slide. All right, so AEGB was actually one of the first green building programs since 1991 with a grant from the DOE and a lot of community support and community input. We crafted basically the first rating system to evaluate the sustainability of buildings. So since 1991, it's been a wild ride. We've built up the program to not only provide those ratings, those certificates, but also education and outreach, as well as advocacy and planning. So we try to maintain a very forward-looking process for the city's goals and their roadmaps as well. So our mission, to put it succinctly, is to cultivate innovation in building and transportation for the enrichment of the community's environmental, economic, and human well-being. Slide. So these are some of the specific ways we intersect with the city's goals. So not just through ratings. So again, we provide design tools and rate the sustainability of single family, multifamily, and commercial buildings. We also provide education and outreach like this seminar, as well as other partnerships with organizations. And we are kind of an interesting proving ground for a lot of these sustainability techniques in the ways that they can inform policies and codes in the city. So on the right side there, that's actually a map of the different plan unit developments, which we'll go into a little bit later. But those are areas where green building has been written into certain subdivisions legal language to encourage sustainable practices. So you can see we have a pretty wide swath of area in Austin, both within Austin Energy Service Territory and without. So we'll go into that a little bit later. Slide. So specifically, rating goals and measures. The top part here, conservation, these are the various plans that the city puts out to guide the development in terms of water efficiency, zero waste, climate equity, and the resource generation plan. So we've got a pretty wide swath of backup and support from the city and good feedback and good stakeholder engagement across the entire community. And then in terms of improving the quality of life, it's not just concerned with, the site-specific environment, but also transportation, education, and equity, which really hammers home the idea that green building doesn't start and stop at things like energy efficiency and water efficiency. It needs to be a holistic approach. And we have crafted the rating system to essentially touch on all of these different factors, such as human health and well-being, construction worker equity, and providing buildings that work for everybody and provide safe and habitable environments. Slide. So what's the impact in numbers? So we've got over 21,000 rated projects, and the term project means certain things across all three of our programs. So for single family, that's looking at individual homes there, multifamily, which is buildings under 8 stories, and then commercial buildings over 7 stories with residential. So you can see the numbers there, about 21,000 or so single family homes, about 250 multifamily homes, and almost 400 commercial buildings. So that's from 1991 to 2024 there. So quite impressive footprint. I think it's around 20% of construction in Austin earns an Austin Energy Green Building rating. And I want to reiterate that this is a voluntary program that can be mandated through those PUDs and through various zoning agreements, which we'll go into in a little bit. So this kind of covers that entire swath. Slide. So the nuts and bolts of how the code or how the rating fits in with code, something we term kind of the rating to code pipeline. So it's the way that Austin Energy Green Building collaborates with the city of Austin. We'll go into this a little bit more, but there are kind of 3 different ways that these sustainability strategies present themselves with Austin Energy Green Building as innovations, measures, and basic requirements. So it's helpful to think innovations are measures that aren't quite as solidified within the market. That's typically going to be your newer techniques, your more burgeoning technology, things that might be considered cutting edge. Those still are acknowledged and earn points in the rating system, but they're set aside in a separate innovation guide and also can be proposed by building teams to your AEGB representative. And the measures are kind of the main meat and potatoes of the rating system. That's where you earn your points. And then the basic requirements are essentially the measures that you need to meet in the rating system to even earn a green building rating. So those are your things that are standardized. They're in standards, but they may not be in city code, energy code, building code, that sort of thing. So there's kind of 3 tiers there. And then we also, obviously, as I mentioned, kind of interact, pull from, and input into the plans and the roadmaps for the city. Next slide. So the way we craft the rating system is through a very deliberate form of stakeholder engagement. So we work collaboratively with city departments as key stakeholders and partners, and incorporate ideas into the AEGB rating system, which allow for their evaluation of applicability and feasibility. City departments engage with us alongside builders, developers, designers, and community members to shape and support sustainable outcomes. So with every rating update, with every rating iteration, we conduct stakeholder engagement, source ideas, and set priorities and the content of the rating system from that. Next slide. So here's an example of the code pipeline. This is a pretty concrete example in recent history that has happened, wherein a construction waste management, now called construction debris management, measure was added to the AEGB ratings in the early 2000s or so. So this was not a new idea, but maybe more of a new thing to be standardized or a new thing to be in writing. It was added to the AEGB ratings in the early 2000s or so, which actually prompted a development in the market of contractors seeing this. So various construction cleanup crews may not have been in this kind of field or this sector, this part of the market before. We as AEGB helped to kind of establish practices as well as locations to actually bring construction debris to be sorted and diverted from the landfill, which is a kind of naturally sustainable process. If we can get things out of the landfill, either reused or recycled, that's a net win for the environment. So this was a new idea in Austin that was introduced through AEGB. And then after about 15 years or so, give or take, of it proving itself out and the market being built up and these resources being made available for builders and it kind of being common parlance, Austin City Council actually adopted the Construction and Demolition Recycling Ordinance, which is required for all buildings over 50,000 square feet. And it was modeled on AEGB rating requirements. So kind of an idea of sustainable practices was implemented in the green building rating system, proved out, the market was built up, builders were familiarized with it, contractors were familiarized with it, and it became more accessible and easily doable through the green building rating system. Thank you. So this is a graphical representation of what I'm talking about here. So again, on the right side, you have those 3 different tiers of sustainable elements. You've got the innovation measure at the top there. Let's say you have a new, fresh idea that you might want to see implemented into built environment. That is implemented as an innovation measure. So it's a little fuzzy. It's still measurable. It's still evaluatable, but it's not written into the main guidebook. Typically, it could start there, and then it moves to become an AEGB measure. So this is typically an optional measure that earns you points in the rating system. It's officially recognized, but it's not hard coded into there. It's not a requirement until it is. It's moved to a basic requirement. So think about for the single family rating system, I'll go into this, it's grade 1 insulation, for example, being a basic requirement. All projects, regardless of to the star level they will need to meet these basic requirements. From there, because there's more people doing it and we have a better outlook and better data on it, it can be incorporated into either local, national, or international codes and standards. So as we get a little bit of a better look on these things, it's implemented into those codes and standards, which, if we're kind of continuing that circle around, leads to market transformation, leads to it being more widespread, it being more accessible. Maybe there are new techniques, new technologies that come out regarding the sustainable strategy, which can then prompt more sustainable innovation measures and newer ideas that can then continue through that cycle. So we kind of serve as a little bit of a centrifuge for ideas to be tested out. If they don't work out, then they get axed. If they do work out, we try to provide resources, education, and build up for that. Next slide. So how do these green building ratings actually get implemented? So again, I want to reiterate, green building, Austin Energy Green Building, is voluntary, as well as it has mandatory moments where it's written into things like planned unit developments, which are, and I'll go into this a little bit more, think like large subdivisions or neighborhoods. Smart housing, so that is the city's affordability program. They have for the smart housing benefits as they go through and make their homes affordable. There is a 1-star green building rating attached to that. And then the downtown density bonus, that is like a geographical area within downtown where with specific zoning variances and specific design leniences, the green building rating is attached there. So there's 3 kind of main thoroughputs that necessitate green building as a developer or a builder in the city of Austin. Next slide. So that first picture there, planned unit developments, think Mueller, think Easton Park, Sun Chase, that map I had on a previous slide that showed the kind of polygons. Those are areas either within Austin Energy Service territory or without that have the kind of lenience of some design zoning principles, but that they actually do necessitate green building ratings. So they provide greater design flexibility by permitting modifications of site development and regulations. However, along with that, they're mandated to be superior to the development that would occur under conventional zoning and subdivision regulation. So as part of that, green building is an option for a green building rating for a lot of these PUDs. Also, LEED is sometimes detached to that, or a greater than or equal to green building rating as well. But the intent really is to preserve that design or the natural environment, encourage that high quality development, and ensure adequate public facilities and services. So they are individually determined by that PUD agreement. When they go through and get that PUD agreement, it's between 1 and 3 stars. For example, that picture on the right there, which is Miller, that is a 3-star single family neighborhood, and then 2-star multifamily. So every home in there gets a green building rating. Slide, thank you. So smart housing, as I mentioned, true affordability really goes beyond that initial building cost. As AEGB, we want to acknowledge that things like maintenance, operations, and general welfare of the occupants all factor into the affordability of living in a building. So this is really saying, yes, these units are below market rate for a certain percentage through smart housing, but they typically need to meet this 1-star basic requirements. That's kind of the floor there. A lot of builders can decide to go above and beyond that and implement even more sustainable strategies. We provide the scorecard, we do the orientation, and allow them to kind of pick and choose. But the smart housing is essentially saying 1-star if you are going for the smart housing program, to provide a little bit more of a holistic approach to lowering the costs for everybody who lives in Austin. Next slide. Downtown density bonus, again, this is the kind of geographic area of downtown. It was established in about 2014 or so. It really allows developments to be built taller and with greater density in exchange for higher quality buildings and streetscapes, as well as all the other community benefits. And they need to meet a 2-star AEGB rating. And I think the idea here is also the green building rating system really benefits from buildings being constructed in these kind of environments that actually feed back into the rating system. So if you have a park in the neighborhood or the downtown area where you're in, depending on how close you are to that park, you may automatically pick up points for the green building rating system. So it allows these sustainable strategies to be capitalized by multiple projects at the same time, rather than having to construct new ones. So those are essentially the three ways that the green building rating system is implemented through a mandatory process. And then next slide, I will go through the actual single family rating system here, which applies to the smart housing and the PUD agreements typically. So next slide. So single family rating overview, again, we have a kind of 3-tiered program structure in Austin Energy Green Building Rating. The single family rating is built up of about 300 or so possible points. And you can see here this graph, this is a donut chart of the proportion of points. And then on the left side there, we've got a bar chart of the different star level ratings. So as I mentioned, the basic requirements to even get a star, to even get a rating, you need to meet those basic requirements. They don't give you any points, but they are all sustainable strategies. And then for a 2-star, you're looking at least 30 points, 3-star, at least 55 points, and so on and so on. So on the right there, we've got kind of the point distribution across all the measure categories. So these are as discrete as possible. So in terms of, all the energy points really just deal with energy, all the health points just deal with health. But there are obviously a little bit of cross-pollination there. So for example, site points such as having a park or a bike lane next to you is an equity concern. It's just in the site category. So these aren't, necessarily a great indication of like the priority of the rating system, but they are kind of an indication of the rough breakdown of the different categories themselves. So these are determined, both the point level requirement or the point amounts and also the proportion are determined through the stakeholder engagement process. So for example, in the recent rating updates, past 2 recent rating updates, really health and healthy materials, healthy indoor air quality has come out as something that stakeholders who engage with us have great concern for. So that informed the actual rating structure as well. And they are, again, modified and adjusted depending on the builders that come to us to make sure that we are kind of serving as a supportive partner for both builders and community members to make sure that we have projects that are still able to achieve a 4-star, 5-star rating with these kind of priorities in mind. One thing that's not mentioned here, for single family, we do have star level requirements, which are specific measures across all of those categories that are worth points. They are just like any other measure, except they are required for certain star levels. So for example, wildfire resilience, indoor water conservation, and pest control are considered to be 2-star level requirements for the most recent rating system. That means that certain that projects need to meet at least 1 point, or we somehow have or sometimes have 0-point requirements, depending on if somebody is in like a wildfire zone, for example. But they need to address those specific concerns in order to even achieve a 2-star level requirement. So it kind of allows AEGB another way to set priorities and to acknowledge kind of regional priorities and concerns for buildings, so that they can't all just rush and build a very, very efficient, energy efficient building, but then forego a lot of water efficiency or ignore wildfire resilience, that sort of thing. So it allows it kind of to be spread out in an equitable way, and additionally. And these change for every rating cycle. So this will differ for the next rating update as well, maybe a little bit here or there, depending on what the new priorities are set for stakeholders and what AEGB representatives kind of determine. Next slide. So how do you actually start this process? So let's say this all sounds great to you and you want to hop on board and get a green building rating. So the first thing is just to simply reach out and orient yourself with the rating system. We really encourage folks to get in as early as possible. We as AEGB representatives try to serve as team members as opposed to just like raters or evaluators or inspectors. We want to help your project succeed in its sustainability goals. So we allow folks to hop in and get acclimated as soon as they want. You know, for folks who have a PUD agreement or a smart housing agreement, as soon as you see green building rating on the agreement, call us up and we can get you in the program and kind of get you oriented and understand what this entails. Because depending on how ambitious your project might be or how much you want to do, it can be a greater or lesser inspection, design review process. We do have an online rating system, so that is kind of the online document repository for the program. That is where you can view your scorecard or your worksheet. You can kind of evaluate the sustainability measures and set priorities for your project. We have a wide range of folks who come in. Some have already filled out the worksheet, some don't know what green building is. So we try to serve as kind of the education component as well as the rater, and meet people where they're at, and especially early on if that's possible. Next slide. So for single family, and this is pretty true for all the rating system, there are discrete phases we consider. So there's planning and design. That is your, maybe you're drawing up your design documents or your plans for the first time. That's ideal to come in and talk to us, because we can, facilitate more of an integrated design process to help you understand what sustainability measures lead to success in the program. That's your planning and design phase. That's typically going to lead into the conditional approval process for required projects, which is where we say, yes, this project is going to meet a green building rating based on the design documents. It's conditionally approved. You can then take that conditional approval and actually apply for your permit. And from there, we stay in contact. If anything changes, we can work with you to change your worksheet. We want to make sure that when construction comes and we actually do site visits, that the design documents you submitted are still true to the construction itself. And then closeout and celebration, that is going to be getting your plaque, and one of my colleagues will talk about that a little longer, closing out and making sure that the building is good to go and can be celebrated. All right, next slide. So single family site visits, you got your rough, your final, your callbacks. Rough is going to be before wall boarding, after insulation. Final is going to be after your power is turned on, your flooring's in, power and water's on. And we also do callbacks. So if anything's not quite right with the rough or the final, you can easily call you back up and get out there free of charge. Obviously, a little bit of a time delay, but we try to make it easy. Next slide. So again, rough site visits typically are around 15 to 45 minutes. We ask the builder to accompany us so that they can fix any issues and remedy anything. And then we also ask that everything is kind of relatively firmed up. We got the worksheet complete before scheduling the site visit, and we can get out there. Pretty straightforward, streamlined process. Final site visits are typically a little bit shorter than rough site visits, and we can build in time buffers to remedy all deficiencies. Next slide. So the extended area rating, if you're not in Austin Energy Service territory, we can help you out. We have folks who are vetted and approved to actually conduct the green building rating outside of the specific Austin Energy Service territory. Again, call us up if you're interested in this. We have a 27 county area where we can actually implement that process for you. Next slide. And single family innovations, I had mentioned, this is true across all the programs, but we do encourage innovation. We encourage folks to lodge new ideas and to allow us to kind of work with you to get those implemented. We want to see new, fresh ideas. Sustainability is always evolving. So we try to accommodate that. This is a specific guidebook that's actually got them written out. But again, during the orientation process, if you have a new idea, lodge it and we can incorporate it, and maybe it'll be in the guide at a future date. Next slide. All right, with that, y'all, that's the single family rating system. With the multifamily rating system, I'm gonna pass it over to Julie Chandran. This is my colleague on the multifamily side. She'll walk you through, there's a lot of overlap, but there are some kind of interesting differences there. But Julie has over 10 years of experience in residential construction. She's been at Austin Energy Green Building for 5 years, administering and developing the multifamily rating. She's passionate about championing for healthy homes for all. And prior to joining Austin Energy, she has held numerous roles for custom and production home builders in Austin. She has a BS in architecture from the University of Missouri and is also a WELL AP. So I'd love to turn it over to Julie to talk to you about the multifamily rating.
Thanks, Conn. I will kick off the multifamily rating here. First of all, what is considered multifamily according to the Austin Energy Green Building rating? We consider that 7 stories above grade or less of stackable units. I just want to emphasize the impact of the multifamily rating, as especially in the past few years, more and more people have been living in multifamily residences, and over 43,000 dwellings have been rated in our program since 91. So just the sheer volume and impact of this particular category is huge. The end goal of our program is market transformation and moving the needle to have more and more units and people living in sustainable dwelling units. The role we have is more of a consultant role and an educator. Every time we host a meeting or meet people on site, we are trying to educate people more and more about green building practices and their benefits. Next slide, please. Specifically, what some of the benefits of the multifamily projects are that they're healthier homes. Some of the measures that capture that from more of a site-wide perspective would be amenities in the common areas, such as access to drinking water, or more of an operational standpoint, green housekeeping, promoting stairwells. Those measures hit on lead to more healthier common areas. And then inside the dwelling units, we share a lot of the same initiatives as the single family, where we are trying to improve indoor air quality through material selection and proper level of HVAC filters, things like that. Another benefit for the owner and resident is less turnover when these units have been rated through our program. Usually residents are happier, they're healthier, and less turnover saves both the owner and the resident more money and more time. The market has been trending upward. More and more people are asking for sustainable apartments or dwelling units. They're asking for all of these benefits and units that save more energy as well. That trend has been peaking upward. Some of the amenities that we're also looking for in the rating system would be beneficial common areas. So for instance, in this photo, things that encourage people coming together through some of the programming that the apartment building puts on, or some of the beneficial open spaces, places for people to sit and congregate. And that in turn also helps benefit some of our resiliency efforts. Next slide, please. So as Conn mentioned, we do share a lot of similar categories. Where you'll see some more differences would be the health measure on some of the site components, as well as the site category. So we have measures that address transportation and recycling signage, site strategies as well, things that educate folks on how to properly achieve the measures. The point structure will vary a little bit. So these thresholds are a little bit different. They're specific to the multifamily rating. Other categories that we have addressing the equity. So we have a lot of projects that come to us from the Smart Housing Initiative that triggers the rating. Access to information would be another one, and equitable mobility. Those are all things that we address on more of a site perspective. Next slide, please. We have site visits as well in the multifamily rating. We have them at two different phases of construction. We hold a construction kickoff meeting to set up those expectations and meet with the right people. And then we, again, are constantly using opportunities for education. So anytime we meet with people at the beginning of the project, the trades that are involved from more of a planning perspective, we educate people at that time, and then we again educate people right before they're getting ready to go vertical. That way, especially with these multifamily projects, because they can last a few years, we're capturing the right people at the right time. And this is a huge advantage of being a local rating system, is that the rater themselves can come out and verify the projects, and then also build that relationship. Next slide, please. So as Conn mentioned, we also come out at 2 stages. The difference would be because some of our multifamily projects are quite large. Some of them can be several buildings. So we come out as needed, if that be floor by floor, building by building, just as they're getting complete. And you know, if the building permits are in such a way, we'll come out to match that as well. And all of our guidebooks are on our website on the online rating system. That is a specific step-by-step how-to. It offers more robust information on each measure, as well as some links to go over any questions you may have. And with that, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Mary Petrovich. She is a utility strategist with Austin Energy Green Building. She provides guidance and resources to new construction projects pursuing an AEGB commercial rating, helping them achieve their sustainability goals. Her areas of focus with AEGB include indoor environmental quality, materials, alignment with other rating systems, and GIS resources and processes. So with that, please welcome Mary.
Hi, everyone. So I think we need to move to the next slide. So as Julie mentioned, my name is Mary. I'm a strategist with the AEGB commercial rating. I do want to note that the commercial rating has a lot of similarities to single and multifamily, especially in terms of the way that we manage the review process. So I'm going to do my best to not be redundant during the process part of this presentation. Next slide. So the AEGB commercial team consults with project teams throughout the construction timeline and helps celebrate building ratings. Like the multifamily and single family ratings, During design, we review documentation and provide feedback to project teams to ensure that the sustainability strategies align with their goals and requirements and that they're effectively communicated in project documents. During construction, we track the implementation of sustainability strategies through construction documentation and site visits. For the commercial rating, we typically hold 2 site visits, one at mid-construction to view installed insulation, and the second at substantial completion to view the finished building. We do make an effort to work with teams during all phases to ensure that the building is ready to implement sustainable maintenance and operations. And finally, we recognize project successful completion of the rating by providing plaques, publishing case studies, and participating in award ceremonies and other events. Next slide. So projects pursuing a commercial rating can achieve between 1 and 5 stars. A 1-star rating is awarded to a project that achieves all basic requirements, and then the additional star levels are awarded at 35 points and higher. Next slide. In the commercial rating, our measures fall into some established categories and types, and the breakdowns of those categories and types are shown on this slide. A couple of things that I wanted to note here is that we do have a couple of different types of measures. So you'll see some terms like core measures and innovation and priority, and those will be defined when we get to the next slide. Our core measures represent 70% of points in the rating. And I also want to call out that our innovation section, which includes elective measures, represents 25% of the points in the rating. Next slide. Starting with the 2022 commercial rating, we did establish some different types of measures. Core measures were developed to provide sustainability opportunities for typical building types, for all typical building types that we would see in the rating. And then the additional measure types were developed to allow project teams to tailor the rating system for their specific building type and to recognize amplified impact of other strategies. So we have elective measures that are tailored to specific building types, technologies, and situations. We have innovation measures, which are newly introduced to the rating. We have priority measures, which award additional points when projects achieve strategies that are identified as priorities for their building type or location. And then we have performance measures, and those award additional points when projects meet exemplary or equitable performance thresholds. Next slide. So many projects in the commercial rating pursue multiple sustainability ratings. And to facilitate those project success in multiple ratings, AEGB makes an effort to provide local guidance and alignment with ratings like LEED, WELL, CITES, ILFI, and others. Starting in the 2022 AEGB commercial rating, the primary pathway to reward alignment is our measure IDEL2 multiple sustainability ratings. So that measure allows AEGB representatives to track the project's achievement in those other ratings and to award points based on the certification level they achieve. We do also have some individual measure requirements that align closely with the requirements of other ratings, and AEGB makes an effort to maintain relationships with those other ratings to ensure that questions about alignment can be addressed effectively. And most recently, we've had a really great example of those relationships. We've been informed by the International Well Building Institute that AEGB is now recognized as an approved rating system that can contribute to points in Well version 2 under Innovation Feature I05 Green Building Rating Systems. Next slide. So the two ratings that we currently see many projects pursuing alongside AEGB are LEED and WELL. And because of the timing of this presentation, we're not able to dig very deeply into comparison of individual measure requirements. But I do want to note a couple of differences just in the way these ratings are structured and how the review process works. So some notable differences include that AEGB is tailored to support local sustainability initiatives, while LEED and WELL are international ratings. WELL is a health-focused rating, while AEGB and LEED are built environment-focused with some health components. The AEGB rating works only with new construction and major renovation, while LEED rates new construction, major renovation, or existing building operations. And WELL requires operational components for all ratings, including performance testing after the building is occupied. Next slide. So this slide compares some of the milestones during the review process for AEGB, LEED, and WELL. And a couple of notable differences there are that AEGB does not offer pre-certification or recertification. LEED and WELL both offer optional pre-certification. LEED offers recertification after completion and requires data reporting. And WELL requires performance testing and recertification. Next slide. And then, so we have a couple of remaining slides that just call out some features of LEED and WELL specific to those ratings. This slide gives an overview of LEED ratings that are tailored to a variety of building and construction types, which is one benefit of the LEED ratings. Next slide. We included this overview of the LEED credit categories just to note that the LEED credit categories up to version 4.1 are very similar to the categories in the AEGB rating. I do want to note this slide is not updated to reflect LEED version 5, so I'm sure there's going to be some cross-checking there soon. Next slide. And then for the WELL rating, we wanted to note that the WELL rating was developed based on research and is very focused on supporting human health. Next slide. The WELL rating focuses its requirements in the 10 concepts that are shown in this slide. So these would be sort of comparable to the categories that AEGB and LEED use. Although you can see that they have kind of different topics. And each of those concepts is comprised of features that have distinct health intents. The features are either mandatory preconditions or optional optimizations. Next slide. And finally, the WELL process includes assessment, implementation of requirements and strategies, verification through performance testing and ongoing monitoring, and corrective measures to ensure that certification is maintained. So that concludes my presentation on the commercial rating and some of our overlapping outside sustainability ratings. I'm going to introduce our next presenter, America Alva, who's going to talk with us about, she's going to give a case study of navigating multiple sustainability ratings on the Austin Energy headquarters. America is a senior sustainability specialist and associate principal at Page, where she leads firm-wide sustainability initiatives with a focus on materials. She is trained as an architect and brings over a decade of experience applying sustainable design strategies across a wide range of project types. Those include K-12 education, higher education, commercial mixed use, multifamily high-rise, aviation, civic, and hospitality. On the Austin Energy headquarters building, America served as project architect and played a key role in delivering a high-performance integrated design. Her background as a sustainability specialist proved invaluable throughout the process, enabling the team to navigate the complexities of pursuing LEED v4 for new construction platinum, WELL v2 pilot platinum, and AEGB 5-star certifications. America's expertise helped align strategies across all 3 rating systems to maximize the impact and performance.
Thank you, Mary. As Mary was saying, my name is America Alva. I'm an architect and senior sustainability specialist at Page here in Austin. And today I get to share one of my favorite projects, which is the Austin Energy headquarters. And as Mary was saying, I was an project architect on this project and not the sustainability specialist, but my background in sustainability really was beneficial as we navigated 3 separate ratings for that system. Next. To begin with, Austin Energy headquarters is a 4-story, 275,000 square foot building featuring an internal courtyard and a structured garage. The project was designed to accommodate over 1,000 employees. And as you see from this slide, our team was expansive and dynamic. And this only highlights some of the core team members. Paige was the architect of record and interiors. ELS was the exterior design architect. Studio D was the sustainability and well consultant for the design team. Center for Maximum Potential Systems was the sustainability consultant for the construction team, and Harvey Cleary Builders was the construction manager. Next. So from the very beginning, we knew this project would be special. After all, it would be home to Austin Energy Green Building. So to us, the project needed to be more than just meet basic needs. It had to be an example of what's possible and reflect AEGB's mission. I won't repeat the mission statement because it's already been read by Conn, but we really wanted to take that mission and create some project goals around it. And so the project goals became community, stewardship, wellness, and innovation. So when we answered the request for proposal, our team consisting of Catalyst, the developer, ELS, and Paige, we proposed a site within the Miller District, specifically on Miller Boulevard between Philomena and Garcia Street, which you see here on the map. Miller, a LEED for Neighborhood Development Gold Certified District, offered a strong foundation to support project goals with features like regional stormwater detention, a walkable, bikeable environment, access to both district chilled water and to municipal reclaimed water. The site was perfect and Austin Energy agreed. Next. At Page, we have a saying. We say, intention requires rigor. And this project truly put that to the test. We were tasked with designing and certifying the building under 3 major systems, each with its own set of standards and challenges. First, AEGB 2016 commercial rating 5-star, LEED V4 new construction to platinum, WELL V2 pilot initially to silver, but ultimately earning platinum. We embrace the rigor of each of those systems, not just to check boxes, but to genuinely support the project's established goals. And it's worth noting the versions of these ratings because the 2016 AEGB rating and LEED V4 really had some common ground alignment across the criterias. Today's versions, as Mary was saying, are in the middle of being shifting, or they're shifting, and they tend to borrow more from one another. So it's easier to kind of integrate as an innovation in alternative compliance. So not exactly kind of apples to apples as far as categories. Next. Embracing the certification process meant starting early. Collaboration began at project kickoff. Key consultants such as the sustainability specialist, commissioning agents were engaged no later than schematic design phase. And early team alignment was critical. We maintained individual checklists for each rating system while also evaluating each credit criteria to identify most stringent requirements and using those as our baselines. So for example, no smoking signs at entries. LEED requires signs prohibiting no smoking within 25 feet, while AEGB says 30 feet. In that case, we adopted AEGB's stricter standard to satisfy both systems. We also prioritized mandatory requirements, and that meant AEGB's basic requirements, LEED's prerequisites, and WELL's preconditions. And those were the non-negotiables in each rating. Those requirements were then integrated into design documents, particularly specifications, which underwent thorough review by multiple team members to avoid gaps. And throughout the whole process, we maintained an open dialogue, revisiting priorities when budget challenges arose. And we collaborated when tough decisions needed to be made, always keeping the project's goals at the forefront. Next. The project's location offered strong opportunities across all 3 rating systems to demonstrate community. Miller's density and diverse uses and established infrastructure for walkability, bicycles, and public transit helped meet community and transit credits across each rating. The project's ground floor program reinforced Austin Energy's commitment to educational outreach and public conference spaces that invite community engagement, as you can see on the top photo there. The internal courtyard continues that spirit, integrating community into the work culture by providing year-round usable outdoor spaces that include shaded seating for comfort and connection. Next, please. Now, this is the first time I'm showing the crosswalk, so I just kind of want to orient everybody. The column in orange are the AEGB credits, and the ones in the middle, the green column is the lead credits, and the column in blue is the well credits. The credits in the light green are those that we achieved. The credits in gray are those that we did not pursue, and anything in white that says NA are sections of the rating that really didn't have anything that related to the other two ratings. And in other slides, you will see some that are in red, and those were credits that we just couldn't achieve. And then because of time, for each of these crosswalks, I'll zoom into just one example of how we work through those. And then at the top, there is a star, and whenever you see that star, it just means that that measure, that credit, was a mandatory requirement. So starting with this slide, this is a snapshot of the crosswalk we created to align community-related credits. And so for the example of bicycles, since lead points were being pursued through the lead ND path, we were able to focus our requirements on using AEGB and well. AEGB had the stricter requirements and calling out for more bicycle storage and showers. So we used its calculations as our baseline. We then added well-specific features like on-site bike maintenance tools to ensure full compliance under the well rating. Next. The project connected to Miller's District Chilled Water Loop. We combined the strategy with chilled beam system, an optimized envelope, and on-site renewables to achieve 65% energy cost savings. The availability of municipal reclaimed water allowed us to offset 100% irrigation and 100% indoor flushing demands. For both energy and water, we set City of Austin and AEGB as the baselines, as those were the more stringent requirements than LEED. For materials, we prioritized embodied carbon reductions in the structure, selected products with product-specific and optimized DPDs, and we also focused on material ingredient reporting and materials sourced responsibly. Next. This slide highlights the crosswalk we developed for material-related credits. Now, materials was one of those more complex areas, especially when it came to integrating requirements into specifications and construction tracking. Each system had a slightly different approach to materials. Fortunately, we were able to use an alternative compliance path that let us apply LEED's building product disclosure optimization criteria like EPDs, HPDs, recycle content, and take-back programs to meet AEGB's MR material measures. And what that did, it allowed us to focus more on human health impacts of materials, like VOC content and VOC and formaldehyde emissions, which appeared in all three ratings. It was still very detailed work, but by stacking the criteria for each of those low-emitting categories and clearly outlining what to track for each rating and working with great sustainability-focused construction partners, it became much more manageable. Next. Wellness was treated as equally important as reducing energy and water use on this project. Key priorities included indoor air quality, thermal comfort, daylight, views, and acoustics. All three rating systems address these, but to varying degrees. The well rating, as Mary was mentioning before, very human-centric, became the foundation, as it had the most comprehensive set of preconditions, those non-negotiables. Next. As shown on this crosswalk, well preconditions covered nearly all wellness priorities except for views. Most of the wellness criteria across the three rating systems were pretty similar, but in a few cases like thermal comfort and daylight, they were at odds. Next. So returning to our structured approach for daylight, for example, we set the well preconditions as our baseline. Then we ranked the other systems' daylight requirements from least to most stringent to see what was realistically achievable within the limits of the floor plate and program. And as early as schematic design, we ran daylight studies to optimize layout, positioning elevator cores in the darker zones before locking in interior partitions. But even with that early planning, once the full program was in place, meeting all three systems wasn't feasible. So at the end, we were only able to demonstrate compliance with WELL and AEGB, but not for LEED. Next. For the final goal of innovation, the traditional rating crosswalk didn't really apply. So instead, in this section, it became more about the outcomes of the original project goals. And as it was really important for us to pursue innovations that genuinely reflected our priorities. To support community, the project participated in the Better Buildings program, which promotes safe living wage jobs for construction workers. The project also advanced low carbon construction in Austin by pursuing and earning the low carbon construction materials pilot credit. In addition, the parking structure was designed to be adaptable. Its top 2 levels can be converted into future office space. Both of these efforts reflect strong environmental stewardship. And finally, the central stair, visible from the office floors and courtyard and beginning at the ground level, was designed as a prominent architectural feature. It encouraged active movement between levels and greater engagement throughout the day, supporting wellness for employees. Next. And so that's the Austin Energy headquarters, and just kind of great that I was able to share that and show how special it was. Thanks.
Thanks, America. Thanks, Mary, Julie, Conn, everyone, for a great presentation. I would invite all the speakers to turn on their cameras, please, for the Q&A session. We've come across a few questions, and let's get started with those. Everyone, just as a reminder, please do put all your questions in the Q&A. We should be able to take a couple for sure. The first question is the city-owned debris sorting mentioned on the example of code pipeline referring to the RRDOC? I'm not sure who of you would be able to answer that. Conn, would you have an idea?
Yeah, that was in my presentation. That is way before my time, but I don't believe so. I think the RODC is a little more recent.
Okay, Conn, what was that? You don't think so? It's not? Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you. The next question is, with LEED moving to greater focus on the HG metrics, will AEGB be following this trend? It doesn't say a specific which rating, but Mary, do you want to take a stab at this? Greenhouse emissions?
Sure. I'm going to guess that that question is asking about LEED version 5, and I will say that we have not nailed down a strategy on whether we'll be following trends in LEED v5 or not, but we are definitely going to be looking closely at that rating and making sure that we are aligning in the way that benefits our local priorities as well as the processes the projects need to take to pursue both ratings.
Okay, thanks, Mary. The next question is on commissioning process. Who reviews commissioning reports? What's required in terms of uploading documents? I do want to say we have all of this information in our guidebook, but again, Mary, I don't know if you want to touch upon, or Julie on the multifamily side of things. I know multifamily doesn't have commissioning as similar to commercial, so maybe Mary, do you want to take a stab?
Yeah. So for the commissioning requirements, Austin Energy reviewers do review that documentation. We do not have a third-party company reviewing it. And then you're correct that some of those documents that are requested are very large, but we do ask that consultants who are working with the ratings submit that documentation, and we do review it.
Okay, thanks, Mary. A couple more. Does multifamily still follow the 2023 guidebook? Julie, do you want to answer that?
Yes, we are still in the 2023 guidebook. We are going to be just beginning our process to go to the next rating. So stay tuned. We will let you know, but that's quite a ways down the road as we're just haven't even started. We're going to get started on the next rating version.
Okay, thanks, Julie.
Sure.
Another question on wildfire considerations. Have we thought about that in our ratings?
I'll take that for the single family side. We do have a wildfire resilience measure, which is a 2-star level requirement. We work with Austin Fire to actually craft that language, and it includes considerations of the roof assembly as well as the general construction of homes to match what is in the or required for the wildland urban interface area. So things like glazed windows adjacent to exterior decks, or other outdoor combustible structures are tempered glass. You've got your exterior siding and skirting being non-combustible. So that was crafted, put into the rating system a few versions back, and we now offer points for homes that do it outside of the WUI zone. If you're in the WUI zone and you're already being required to do that, that is now kind of a 0-point measure since that's built into your construction to begin with. But certainly consult the guidebook, single family guidebook, if you have any questions about that. We also have a resource document that goes into a little bit more information about why it's important.
Okay, thanks, Conn. I think the next question, America, is probably for you. It's asked for the AE headquarters. Why did it take so long to get all 3 ratings for that project? I'm assuming that's what the question is. It says for AEGB project. Yeah. The
Right.
headquarters, yeah.
Yes, it was 2020, 2022, then 2024. Well, as Mary was sort of laying out the schedule of these ratings, AEGB really follows the design, construction, substantial completion timeline. And so it's very common for AEGB to sort of close out as the building is wrapping up and maybe even before any final commissioning reports are complete. And so it's very common for that to get done, and then AEGB and then LEED to follow maybe 6 months later when all the construction waste management is wrapped up and all the commissioning reports and testing is wrapped up. 2020 was a very strange year. So there were a lot of things that got delayed on the LEED side. And so there were things that didn't quite get wrapped up as quickly as normal. And so it took a couple of years for the LEED side of things to wrap up. And then again, with well, there's a lot of on-site verification that needs to happen, but people need to be in the building and they need to have the building running and functioning so to see how those things are actually working. And so again, because of 2020, there were a lot of delays in the building being populated, and so again, that was another delay in getting that wrapped up, and it took until 2024. So
America, that was great. There's another follow-up question about the HQ building. What was the most challenging aspect of aligning the LEED and AEGB rating?
I saw that question. There are a lot of little nuances between the 2 ratings that can be a little bit complex. I would say maybe energy, just because the energy codes for the city of Austin are always ahead of the curve when it comes to LEED. And so for LEED, and it's not necessarily meeting the LEED requirements and meeting the AEGB requirements being difficult and aligning them. It always comes down to documenting. The way you document for LEED and the way you document for AEGB, they're just there's always these slight differences, and so sometimes there's a struggle of how to do that and how to do it in a way that you're not duplicating a lot of work, and having to consider how to put those inputs in the right way and communicate that correctly with LEED. Obviously, that communication with AEGB was a lot easier because they're here. It's a local rating, and you're able to have that communication. But with LEED, you're sending it off, and maybe they don't really understand the local rating, and so there's a little bit of a struggle there sometimes to communicate accurately. But
Thanks, America. I I think we'll move on. Great questions, everyone. Um, Again, thank you everyone for attending. Please take a moment to complete the survey link placed in the chat. Your feedback is greatly appreciated, and it helps us plan future seminars. As a reminder, um, everyone registered will receive a follow-up email with resource links and a webinar recording. Today's webinar attendees will receive a continuing education certificate for self-reporting to GBCI, C hours, and AICP CM credits. If you provided your AI number during registration, we will report your AI learning units for attending the seminar. If you couldn't attend the entire seminar or want to share this information with your colleagues, this seminar will also be added to our new e-learning platform in about 6 weeks, when you can watch the recordings, take the quiz, and earn the CEUs. Check out the current courses at this link in the chat, and you can log in to get started. Well, that was it from us today. Thank you all again, and this concludes our seminar. Thank you.